Now, let's get into this ABC Stan Grant saga because it's really ramped up now. And as is so typical of the ABC, of the left in general actually, it's now all about claiming victim status. This untouchable government-funded behemoth with more than 4,000 people who are paid with $1.2 billion of your money every year, who run political and ideological campaigns, who bully and demonise people at will, who strike to get more money from taxpayers, who operate in flagrant disregard of their charter and who refuse to apologise for their mistakes, missteps and misinformation. Well, now this massive, unaccountable organisation seeks to portray itself as the victim. Seriously. But let me first speak about someone who is a victim in this. There is no doubt that Stan Grant has been subjected to racist abuse online. You only have to go online to see this vile, sickening stuff. Now, if you buy into these big political debates, you write books and you write articles and host television programs and air strong views, you'll get strong pushback. We all get that. It's not great, it's not easy, but it's the price of having a platform. But with Stan, it includes these disgusting and pathetic racist attacks. And that makes the whole impact different. It takes it to a whole other level. So I feel for Stan as a friend and as a media colleague, and I'll always condemn this stuff, even though we all know it'll always be there on social media, because social media is such a toxic sewer. That's why I'm not there anymore. And the ABC would do better if it had stopped playing in those infested waters. It's just no place for civil debate. But because it's generally dominated by the Green left, the ABC loves the adulation and the amplification that it gets in social media. So it sort of courts that space. Not wise. Importantly, however, in his moving, but in some respects over the top, temporary goodbye last night, Stan Grant made clear it was not this often anonymous racist abuse that's caused him to take a break. No, it's other stuff.
I'm not walking away because of social media hatred. I need a break from the media. I feel like I'm part of the problem. And I need to ask myself how or if we can do it better.
Yeah, he's a bit over the media debate. And many of us in the media know we're not getting the open, respectful debates that we need. We know there's too much heat and not enough light. And we sometimes wonder about the point of it all. This is not just about the ABC. All of us could lift our games, of course. Although what I love about News Corp is we have a much greater diversity of views and ideas, total intellectual freedom compared to the ideologically and homogenous ABC. Anyway, this ABC controversy was kicked off by the national broadcaster putting to air an ill-judged, ideological and really anti-Australian discussion on the night of the coronation without having any real counterpoint.
Australia with an Indigenous heritage, a British foundation and the migrant richness of the migrant experience is a lovely idea. I don't know where that Australia is. We haven't lived in that Australia.
You run that stuff out there while people are watching the coronation without anyone hitting back strongly. What do you think's going to happen? Nearly 2,000 viewers complained. And media, of course, reported on the controversy. The ABC again revealed, though, that it's so insular, it's lacking in self-awareness and so unaware of its own responsibilities. Because if instead of admitting and rectifying its mistake there, the ABC just complains about its critics. It pretends to be the victim.
This part of the coverage provoked quite a sizable response from some people in the audience, but secondly, from large sections of the media whom were offended that we even covered this subject at all.
But hang on, it's other media's fault? Wasn't it the ABC that put that program to air? The ABC that didn't bother to have strong mainstream views to match the radical left views of Stan Grant and Craig Foster and others? And it was the ABC viewers who arced up. Then when most of the focus fell on Grant, the ABC, as he pointed out last week, left him out there like a shag on a rock.
Clearly, Stan felt let down by the fact that I wasn't out there and the ABC wasn't out there publicly defending him over recent weeks. And I personally apologised to him. The managing director apologised yesterday, and me personally, I feel devastated that he feels let down by us because we care deeply about him.
Okay, to that extent, to a direct complaint about a lack of support from his friend Stan Grant, the ABC News boss admits error. But what about his bigger stuff up? The content, the programming. Yet another decision by the ABC to push a radical green left agenda without living up to their charter obligations for objectivity and plurality. Well, apparently, even this central failing is someone else's doing.
What we've got now is sections of the media, particularly in News Limited, who will do anything they can to campaign against the ABC. Now, we can't be beyond scrutiny. In fact, we welcome it. But it is clearly a concerted campaign to chip away at the ABC and people's sense of trust in it by them.
Really? He welcomes scrutiny, but when it comes, it's the other media, News Corp in particular, that's undermined trust in the ABC? Was it News Corp who decided that Coronation Night was a good night to run unbalanced and extreme criticism of the settlement of Australia and what this country has become and blame all these apparent defects on the monarchy being honoured that day? Is it News Corp that undermines trust in the ABC by ensuring they never give a prominent role to anyone with mainstream right-of-centre views, turning it into a green left propaganda outfit? Is it News Corp who pushes all the ABC's so-called objective journalists onto social media to trumpet their green left views and to run those same opinions on television and radio as well? Is it News Corp that got the ABC to spend, I don't know, $1 million or more running a Trump Russiagate series about a completely debunked conspiracy theory and then 5 years later refused to correct it or apologise? Is it News Corp who's responsible for the ABC's biased, vindictive and erroneous pursuit of George Pell? Or its deliberate destruction of the political careers of Christian Porter and Alan Tudge without any regard for the rules of natural justice or journalistic fairness? This is how the ABC burns trust. Don't blame News Corp. As someone maligned in viciously defamatory terms by the ABC over 3 decades, essentially because they've seen me as politically or ideologically impure, I know exactly how they work. Indeed, I worked there for a period. But now, instead of examining its own missteps, the ABC plays the victim, the billion-dollar victim. Instead of rectifying its failings, this media giant blames the critics who point out those failings. And worse than that, instead of tackling these important issues, focusing on the media responsibilities that Stan Grant highlighted last night, the ABC tries to smear all of us at News Corp with the racist social media bile that we all deplore.
Now, you put an image of one of our high-profile presenters, whether it's Stan or whether it's Lee Sales or David Spears or Tony Armstrong, they know that they will get more people reading their materials by putting a face on it. I'm saying stop going after people for doing their jobs.
You see, this shows the lack of maturity at the senior levels of the national broadcaster. It should have more courage and intellectual integrity than to make smears like this. If the ABC claims News Corp criticism has been unfair, then it needs to cite specific examples, show the clip, quote the article, back up your claims with specific examples. Otherwise, your gutter tactics are exposed. I mean, surely it wasn't this treatment of Stan Grant's book about the monarchy and Indigenous Australia, an article published just last month in the Weekend Australian. Surely that's not an example of News Corp trivialising these issues. People in News Corp papers and on this station often disagree with the ABC line, which is illustrative, isn't it? Because there's a problem here. The ABC is not supposed to have a line on anything. But when I and others criticise the ABC, we quote them. We show you clips. We cite specific errors. We show the transgressions. You know, we make arguments based on facts. The ABC needs to do the same. It's called journalism. It's called proper public debate. Even better, it's just decency. Oh, and as for accountability, Back when the ABC Managing Director, David Anderson, kept refusing my requests for an interview, I buttonholed him at a black tie event. Remember, he said this.
And I have been waiting for you to invite me onto your program.
Anytime.
Yeah,
That's a
so-
standing invitation.
All right. Well,
Actually, we've sent requests in the past.
Right.
We'll make that date soon.
Okay. All right.
He's never shown up. We asked many times before then and afterwards. He never shows up. How's that for accountability? They believe they are beyond question. They believe the people who pay for the ABC have no right to question them. They believe they are not accountable to anyone. And sadly, this seems to be true. Because as I've said for a long, long while now, it's not our ABC, it's not your ABC, it's their ABC.